It was a journey in hope. 5 Felician sisters left their homeland of Poland on a seminal journey to North America that would bring the Felician mission to a new continent. We remember and celebrate the 5 Felician sisters who embarked on what would be an often daunting, sometimes perilous journey to a distant land and to an uncertain future. Courageous and selfless, they traveled halfway around the world at a time when such travel was rare for most and onerous for the few who did. They did so simply because they were asked to serve a people in great need. Just as our Felician foundress, Blessed Mary Angela, had selflessly responded to the cries of the destitute, the abandoned, and the sick on the streets of 19th century Poland, these sisters would mirror Blessed Angela's call to serve where needed, giving aid to all without exception. It would be an historic journey, for the Felician Sisters ultimately became the first Polish community of religious sisters in the United States. As such, they would play an important role in American Catholic history. And ultimately, this small band of sisters would pioneer a Felician legacy of compassionate service and care across the continent that has not only endured, but that continues to flourish here in North America. Here is their story. The year was 1874. 5 Felician sisters, Mother Mary Monica Sibilska, age 50, Sister Mary Kajetan Jankiewicz, age 35, Sister Mary Wenceslas Zabrycka, age 31, Sister Mary Rafio Swerjanowska, age 32, and Sister Mary Vincentine Kalva, age 23, began a journey full of excitement and anticipation, a spirit of adventure, and with much hope. Their destination, the United States, to the village of Polonia, Wisconsin. The sisters boarded a train bound for Wrocław, Poland, in what was the first leg of their long journey to the United States. They were headed for a land that was on the cusp of massive change. The America of 1874 was a new frontier of sorts. The Civil War had ended just 9 years earlier, and America was in the midst of finding its footing, trying to reunite and rebuild itself. America would soon emerge as a new economic power in the world, fueled by the Second Industrial Revolution. The byproducts of iron, steel, coal, and electricity would come to define this new economy. As America grew into an industrial power, the America of 1874 was already familiar with another genre of growth that would forevermore define the country: the historic influx of European immigrants. 30 million Europeans would eventually call the U.S. their home during this period in American history. As waves of immigrants arrived on American shores, communities often could not keep pace with the overwhelming influx of emigres. Issues related to housing, sanitation, language barriers, and education quickly added to the era's growing social challenges. It is against this cultural, social, and economic backdrop that Father Joseph Dombrowski, pastor of St. Joseph Parish in Polonia, Wisconsin, requested the aid of Felician Sisters in Poland. Father Dombrowski, whom later generations would call the foremost Polish priest in America, saw the urgent needs facing the immigrant children and families who had settled in this town, and knew he needed help in ministering to this new population. Polonia, Wisconsin was the second Polish settlement in the United States, and the Polish Roman Catholic Church was the heart of Polonia. The Polish immigrants clung to their Polish Catholic cultural heritage, reflected in their tradition, customs, and folkways. As a result, they wanted to build their own churches and begin their own schools. Father Dombrowski specifically asked for a cadre of Felician Sisters to teach the children of Polish immigrants of his parish, because, as he wrote, he knew of the Felician Sisters' dedication and excellent work in the teaching of children. And so they came. It was a 27-day odyssey via 2 ships, 5 trains, and multiple horse-drawn carriages. A long and arduous journey by any definition, their transatlantic voyage proved to be the most perilous portion of their travels. The sisters' passage aboard the steamer, the SS Ethiopia, is recorded in this copy from the ship's manifest. The last 5 names listed are those of the 5 pioneering sisters to North America, with their corresponding ages, gender, and occupation listed here as none. Soon after the sisters had set sail, heavy waves pummeled the steamer, rocking the vessel and sending large plumes of water onto its decks. For the next 14 days, raging winds whipped about the boat as heavy storms roiled the Atlantic seas, causing intense seasickness for the 5 missionary sisters. Violently sick, the sisters were not able to leave their steerage compartments for the duration of the voyage. The sisters recorded that the turbulent rocking of the ship threw them from wall to wall, sending loose items flying about the cabin. After 2 weeks of such grueling travel, the sisters expressed great joy at the sight of the North American shoreline and the bustling port of New York City's Manhattan Island. After debarking at Castle Garden, the American Immigration Center, Mother Mary Monica wrote in her chronicles,
"On Friday, November 13th, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we landed in New York. It is difficult to describe the feeling of joy and gratitude towards God for His wonderful providence with which He sheltered us from harm amidst much suffering and danger, granting us instead courage and grace. At the sight of land, all sufferings vanished."
Eventually arriving at their destination, the sisters set about their missionary work of educating the children of the parish. In the 2-room makeshift schoolhouse, 90 children, ranging in age from 7 to 16, greeted them on the first day of school. The needs of the immigrant families were immense. The challenges in meeting those needs were daunting, as the 5 sisters withstood harsh conditions and inexplicable hardships. Upon arrival, they felt isolated, living in a remote village of a foreign country with no means to take them to the nearest town. The harsh cold and massive snowdrifts of their first North American winter only intensified their sense of isolation. Blustery winter winds pierced through the porous walls of their quarters, further exacerbating the discomfort of 5 sisters living in a 2-room space that was cold, damp, and undeniably cramped. Hardships continued to ensue. Within 6 months of their arrival in America, 2 separate fires, virtually 60 days apart, ripped through their living quarters, destroying most of their living space and all of their material possessions. Sister Wenceslas wrote,
"I cannot stop the sound in my mind of the clanging of the church bells as the steeple plunged to the ground today during a second devastating fire which claimed the temporary church and convent building. Every inch of our home was destroyed in less than a half hour."
these missionary sisters were once again relegated to various makeshift living conditions in a nomadic existence until a new convent could be built. Yet, the sisters not only persevered, but ultimately prevailed. They educated countless children, offering lessons in religion, mathematics, reading, writing, art, and English. They wrote their own Polish textbooks. Over time, the sisters published textbooks to be used not only in their schools, but in countless other schools of other religious communities where Polish immigrant children were taught. They began a ministry for Polish orphans. And the sisters also helped to evangelize the Winnebago, Menominee, Chippewa, and other Native Americans of the area. It had always been part of Father Dombrowski's vision to establish a Felician novitiate, as he wrote, to send out teaching sisters to all Polish parishes and to establish the congregation's future growth on this continent. Within a month of the sisters' arrival, 15-year-old Antoinette Zarak requested admission to the congregation, becoming North America's first vocation to the Felician Sisters. Within a year, the number of aspirants had climbed to 11. Indeed, young women on this new continent joined the Felician Sisters, drawn to our mission and charism, and drawn to the fervor, dedication, and pure joy so in evidence among the first 5 Felicians. Within a few decades, Felician Sisters were a significant presence across much of the United States, in areas including the states of Wisconsin, Michigan, New York, Illinois, Indiana, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Maryland, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Delaware, New Jersey, Missouri, Kansas, Minnesota, Nebraska, and Texas. By 1910, Felician Sisters would be operating 23 hospitals, various schools and orphanages, as well as facilities for the aged. By the mid-20th century, Felician Sisters had established a presence in Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Canada as well. And so here we are today, in a new century and a new time. 2014 marked the 140th anniversary of the Felician Sisters of North America. We look back in reverence and remembrance. We look forward in hope, ready and available to serve. For the Felician Sisters have never left the frontiers of need. Felician Sisters in North America continue to serve where they are needed, continue to serve where called. Just as the 5 Felician Sisters had responded to the needs of this continent, the frontiers of need in this century may not look the same as those of centuries past, but they are no less critical, no less pervasive. We continue on the journey first begun by Blessed Mary Angela, one that unfolded on North American soil by the 5 sisters in 1874. Much like the first North American journey, it continues to be a journey in hope. Through the establishment of Our Lady of Hope Province on November 21st, 2009, our journey in North America took on a new form. It marked a new chapter in our congregational history, one that signaled a new future, redefined, refocused, and revitalized. It posed an historic opportunity to strengthen our mission here on this continent, create new ministries where needed, and embrace new possibilities. Today, Our Lady of Hope Province is vital, vibrant, and energized. engaged in service to God's people across this vast continent. From the shores of the Pacific to the shores of the Atlantic, from America's Southwest to Canada's Northwest Territories, from America's rural South to its urban centers, Felician Sisters are serving in an array of ministries as diverse as the people they serve. One of those ministries is St. Mary's, the oldest existing Felician-sponsored ministry in North America. Established in Manitowoc, Wisconsin in 1887 to care for orphans, the sick, the poor, and the elderly, St. Mary's is an historic treasure, one of the early ministries founded by our sisters here in North America. Today, as part of the larger comprehensive senior living community called Felician Village in Manitowoc, this ministry is a thriving, skilled nursing facility, providing a high level of nursing care for the elderly. Some of our other ministries are among our newest, those that have witnessed great growth and have blossomed. The Felician Center in Kingstree, South Carolina, has grown significantly, located in America's rural South. Felician Sisters minister to and live among the impoverished, among children and families without opportunity, and among the many suffering from the scars of unemployment, illness, and dire poverty. They live among those in greatest need, in total availability to those they serve. Across the continent, on its western coast, is another blossoming ministry, the Blessed Mary Angela Spirituality Center Among the Poor. In Pomona, California, Felician Sisters minister to the homeless and destitute, to impoverished immigrants, and disenfranchised women and children in their ministry of presence on the streets of Pomona. They feed a different type of hunger among the homeless and the very poor, a real hunger for God that is as palpable and profound as any physical hunger. This ministry is one of only a few ministries in the United States tending to the spiritual needs of the marginalized. Our mission in Haiti is bustling with activity. From our Felician Center of Operations, Our Lady of Perpetual Help, located in Jacmel on the western shore of the island, our sisters minister to Haitian people who are struggling to survive in this most destitute of countries. The sisters offer a variety of programs, including a ministry of presence among the children and families, a tutoring program, a catechetical program, a clean water program, a program for women who are illiterate, and the Mother Angela Mobile Clinic. The clinic, staffed by Haitian doctors and a Haitian medical team, travels 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, rotating to numerous sites throughout the Haitian mountains, where there are no medical services at all, and where the mountainous terrain makes travel difficult and dangerous. Felician Sisters accompany the medical team to address the people's spiritual needs, while their physical needs are attended to. These are just a few of our many ministries that span the continent. 30 of these are Felician-sponsored ministries over which Felician Services Incorporated continues to ensure financial viability, programmatic quality, strategic planning, and mission integration. They include 4 high schools, 3 colleges, universities, several early childhood education programs and child care facilities, a range of senior services and skilled nursing ministries, and a range of social service ministries. Felician Services tallies the collective benefits and services to the communities in which we serve. In 1 year alone, our ministries served nearly 500,000 people, provided more than 1 million pounds of food, and millions in financial aid to students, charity care, and in the value of volunteer hours. More than just numbers, such an accomplishment is a testament to the Felician values we hold dear. Each of our ministries throughout North America upholds and affirms the 5 core values for ministry, hallmarks of our Franciscan culture and identity: respect for human dignity, compassion, transformation, solidarity with the poor, justice, and peace. Felician Services has implemented a vibrant mission integration program across the province, ensuring that the heritage and core values of the Felician Sisters remain an integral part of each ministry's mission. The sisters are also actively engaged in scores of additional ministries across the province. Sisters minister to the imprisoned in correctional facilities, bringing them an opportunity to practice their faith and receive religious instruction and pastoral care. The sisters serve as pastoral associates and in pastoral care, ministering to parishioners in their daily lives and in their times of greatest need. We serve in numerous diocesan ministries throughout the continent. And we are missionaries, serving in our Haitian mission and serving in one of the northernmost areas of Canada, approximately 200 kilometers south of the Arctic Circle. Here, Felician Sisters minister to a First Nations people, indigenous to this region of Canada's Northwest Territories. Sisters in our care centers devote their precious energies to prayer ministry. On the wings of their prayers and sacrifices, the needs of the world, our ministry, and the many who ask for our prayers are carried to the throne of God. We will never know how much has been realized through their intercession. Our numerous ministries continue to thrive while we create new ministries in response to new needs. For example, we launched our Seeds of Hope program, a uniquely Felician Franciscan youth leadership experience designed to foster a new generation of leaders in the Felician Franciscan tradition. Rising high school leaders from high schools across North America joined together for a week of leadership training, outreach to the poor and marginalized, and immersion in the Felician Franciscan model of servant leader. In Buffalo, New York, we initiated a free after-school tutoring program for poor children. In Detroit, Michigan, we launched a ministry of presence, living and serving in Detroit's inner city area. These are but a few of the ways in which Felician Sisters across North America are responding to the needs of our times, tirelessly and joyfully continuing to serve the people of God. As the first 5 sisters continuously adapted in response to the needs of the new frontier, so we too must continuously adapt in response to the needs and challenges of our times. The first sisters in North America endured many hardships, including the rigors of life on the frontier. The challenges and personal hardships of today's sisters are decidedly different, but present nonetheless. The story of the first 5 Felician Sisters in America is, in so many ways, the emblematic story of each and every Felician sister, past and present. Across the globe and across centuries, every Felician sister has made the same spiritual, if not geographic, journey to selflessly respond to those in need, wherever there was a need, with a joyful, loving message of faith and hope. Indeed, to be Eucharist, to be servant, to be sister to all. We are not standing still. The Sisters of Our Lady of Hope province go forward, embarking on an ever-new journey. filled with the same pioneering zeal, vision, and anticipation as that of our foundress and as that of the first Felician Sisters in North America. Together, we continue on our common journey, filled with the courage and conviction of our mission, filled with hope and comforted by our anchor and guide, Our Lady of Hope. We cherish the words of our beloved foundress and strive to imitate her boundless love of God and her surrender to the will of God through compassionate service, total availability, and concern for the salvation of all people. Before her death, Mother Angela wrote to the Pioneer Sisters, "Beginnings are hard. Be assured that as mother of this congregation, I will always keep in my heart a deep love and gratitude for the North American province." For nearly 2 centuries, the Felician Sisters have never left the frontiers of need. Today, we remain on those same frontiers, continuing to journey in hope as women of hope in a world so greatly in need of hope.